I'm Graham, and this is Katie, and we are the Garrisons.
And we had vision, even though it was very scary and we didn't know what we were doing. We started having conversations with two agencies, and both of those agencies, their vision is to look at the foster care crisis that is happening in Georgia and around the United States, and to look at the solution of the church. It was like all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, this is really missing. Like, why don't we have this here?
Somebody should do something about that.
Somebody should do something about that.
You know, there doesn't need to be a program or a process in place to do what God is calling people to do.
So that's how it started, and we eventually realized that he was also calling us to become foster parents. I really had a vision of creating a culture here at Mount Pisgah that embraces foster care, embraces the children and the families, and to raise up foster families from amongst our congregation.
I think I had a front row seat to the foster care crisis when she was a social worker and we were newlyweds. She just had this big heart for the kids that she was working with. What if we fostered them? I hadn't even gone to that. Mine was, well, we're just newlyweds. That somebody else should do that. That kind of attitude sat with me until the discipleship, which was, if Jesus is the Son of God, if he's the Messiah, if he is who I claim he is, and the Scripture claims, then what's my response to that? You know, am I going to be his hands and feet, or is it just going to be an academic, theological thing? What better place to do ministry than your family? Also, what more vulnerable place to do ministry than your family? That's scary, you know? It just felt more and more like he was calling us. Eventually, Pisgah Fosters was created, but it was more of a family mission before it was anything else.
Things didn't, play out as I imagined, in terms of it was slow going at first, for sure. Having that patience, and being flexible and changing what that vision might be, how that plays out, was very important. The really cool thing was to see the outcome and like what God did, despite, or even though I had these preconceived notions of what it was going to look like. It looks totally different than my original vision, but it's not my vision. It should be God's.
I feel like in fostering and then with Pisgah Fosters, God was asking us the question, do you trust me beyond the outcome that you think is the best outcome? We wondered how this process would affect our two sons, and our youngest son had a favorite book. And he climbed up on the crib and we placed her down and put his favorite book in the crib. Just seeing his response to having a sister. I never would have been able to imagine something like that. Such a small moment that was really impactful for me to see.
We had vision, even though it was messy and it was scary and we didn't know what was going to happen, but it's good. It's fruitful. It's rewarding.
It's beautiful.